What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to our Grow with Google series for consumer products founders. I'm Alicia Thompson with Goody Nation, the trusted community for those in the innovation economy. Today, we are providing support for your social media content. I know the holiday campaign season is upon us. I've already been seeing campaigns for Thanksgiving already in August. So I know you've probably already started. If not, it's okay. We have support for you here today. So I have Rob and Melody, and they're going to share all of the secrets, the details to get you guys on board. So I'm going to kick it over to Rob for an intro, and then he's going to pitch it to Melody.
Thank you so much, Alicia. Really happy to be here. Appreciate Goody Nation, everything you guys do, showing up, creating community and an empowering community through amazing workshops like these, helping entrepreneurs like you use digital, Gemini, AI to grow and scale your consumer goods company. I'm your Grow with Google coach for the West. I cover 11 states. I've been doing this for 9 years with Google. Very excited to be here with you all today. I also have my own marketing agency and software company called Braven. And what my mission is to help entrepreneurs like you grow and scale using these amazing digital and AI tools. I'd like to kick it over to Melody and have her introduce herself.
Hi, Robert. Thank you for having me here. Hi, everyone. My name is Melody Estrada. I am the founder of Me & Co. We are a marketing studio. We are marketing partners for founders and founder-focused organizations. Essentially, we help with strategy, social, and content, and systems. So I'm super excited to be here today. Thank you.
Great. And with that, we'll get started and kick it off. You know, Melody, longtime friend of the pod, as I like to say. You've been doing amazing work. You grew up, I think you have an amazing story to tell. We met in Stanford. You've done amazing work. You've grown, you've developed, and then you started working with entrepreneurs, helping them get their products on social, use social to grow and scale. And so, you know, I thought about you when I was thinking about who can I reach out to that's great with social media, that understands how to use social media to increase sales and how to leverage social media for consumer goods. And so I know you teed up a couple slides for us. Love to get your sense on what your thoughts are on social.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'm super excited to share a couple of insights. I put some slides up. I don't know if we want to dive in, but yeah, some strategies for social. Really some simple ways to use AI to create social media content and just help you to drive sales for this fall. So I like to drop it to the basics usually to kick off, right? Always being clear on what's your goal. What are you trying to achieve, right? What's your what would be the best thing for you this fall, right? And then number two, the biggest thing right now that we're learning about is prompting correctly, right? So learning how to prompt by providing as much context and guardrails as possible as we dive into how to use AI for this. So first things first, looking at the low-hanging fruit. I think we have a lot more of our fingertips than we like to admit. And there's so many easy ways that we can just turn social proof into sales driving content. So for example, your reviews is easy content. You can take some of your best reviews or even anything that people are mentioning in your DMs is great to take and ask AI to pull out any maybe particular phrases or themes that customers keep repeating over and over. I have an example here to the right, which is actually a really great friend of mine. Her company is called Love Her Shop. They're an athleisure company. And here, I mean, it's a little small for me to read at the moment, but here they mentioned that they like the material of the clothing, right? So you can really go ahead and take some of the words that people are putting in those reviews and really build some great content around that. Not only that,
Melody,
go ahead.
Yeah, Melody, on that. So what you're saying is use your reviews as testimonials?
Absolutely. You can use them for captions. You can use them for you can even add it into the product descriptions, right? You can use it for testimonials. You can put it as part of your FAQ. I mean, that is literally what people are saying about your product. You want to make sure you're putting that out there, right? Because they're telling you essentially what keywords are for your product.
That makes a ton of sense. So when you're thinking about people that love your brand, you would consider them champions. How can I use them to promote my brand on social? Do I create like a image of them talking about my brand, or do I reach out to them directly? What do you recommend?
I think absolutely. Actually, in the case of Love Her Shop, they actually do reach out to some of their customers and ask them to be models for them. So it's really
Oh
cool.
wow.
Yeah, they use their team, they use their customers, and they want it to be as authentic as possible. And I think that's what's really important, especially as we start going into like this whole analog era, right? And people are really turning back to kind of like the like essentials. I think micro influencers is also a really big deal, right? We want to hear from people that look like us, that
Yes.
have our day-to-day struggles, right? So to answer your question, yes, you can absolutely reach out to customers.
So you're telling me it's not too late for me to become a model, is what you're saying?
Yeah.
I'm teasing, but definitely way too late. That boy, I was never in the running for a model, but it's great that you're using user generated content. They're creating content themselves and then promoting it out. And so that's very organic. Would you consider this organic content? It just takes some legwork, correct?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, me and Co, we love organic content. We believe that it helps to build trust. And it just helps with the buying process as well. If you hear it from someone that looks like you, talks like you know, literally, and maybe, has a similar lifestyle as you, you're more likely to see yourself using that product than,
Mm.
a particular model.
Something that's high produced
Yeah.
and overly produced. We want more organic. We want more authentic in the age of inauthenticity and certain type of content that feels very manufactured. Using your customer base seems like the way to go.
Exactly. I mean, to the next point, right, in terms of photos and feedback, you can obviously ask for permission, but you can upload those customer photos, and comments, and then ask AI, right, to spot patterns, right? Because that's another right thing we're talking about is how do we think smart and creatively with what we have at our fingertips. And I'm sure AI can spit out as much content as long as you provide it with the context, right? So yeah, I think that
I
absolutely.
love that piece. Using their content to use for your content and leveraging their assets and their images. That really makes. Oh, Melody, on the top right slide where it says slideshow, you click on that and it'll present the whole screen and you'll stay. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
Awesome.
beautiful. Oh,
There
that's a
we go.
lot better. Okay, fantastic. No, so that's called social listening, and I think you hit on the nail on the head when it comes to hearing feedback, seeing feedback now with customers being very hands-on with their product and having a very love and affiliation with the product. And I definitely want to touch on that maybe a little bit later when I
Yeah.
talk a little bit about Gemini. But keep going. This is amazing. I never thought
Awesome.
about it this way.
Awesome. 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 So we're gonna go ahead and move into the next slide. Give me 1 second. I'll make sure I can.
Oh, and you provided us a prompt, sample prompt. I love that.
I did. Yes, I did. I'm not sure how to go back, but we'll stay here for now. So the second thing that I wanted to speak to was identifying, like, I know a lot of us have creative blocks, right? So think of it, I'm sure everyone's thought, I have a great product, but I can't think of what to share. Can you generate content for me, right? Again, at our fingertips, taking your product info is content for you, right? Dropping
Mm,
a product spec sheet, whatever, whether it's an ingredient list or a transcript from a sales call, or whether it's literally just the description of your product, right? You can ask Gemini or AI to turn it into gift copy, or a holiday landing page, right? You can get really creative with the very thing and that you have already, right? And I'm sure so many of these companies spend so much time on their product pages, just making sure it's clean, but that is also stuff that you can create for your socials. You can really go back and say, right here, these leggings bring the convenience of wearing from work to yoga or gym, right? So you can speak to the soft fabric, you can speak to the breathability, the sweat wicking, right? You take those words and you can create a carousel, for example, right? Or you can ask a model to come and do a quick reel. And right, so there's so many things that you can do with just your product information alone. You can do anything with it.
So let me touch on that, because I think I love that idea, right? So what you're saying is almost anything that you can transcribe, record, or review can be used with AI. And so if you have an existing spec sheet, if you have a product list, you can use that to generate content. But I think what really captures my attention is on the sales call. Like if you transcribe your sales call, you can pull what got him to say yes and what got him to say no, and what words and phrases you used.
Right.
And in essence, you'll pull that into your Gemini and you say, hey, Gemini, here's my sales transcript for the past month. Here's the ones that said yes. Can you identify the verbiage I used to convert that into a sale so I could create content that has those words and those phrases?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think that's a great idea, actually. I think that's totally relevant. And not only that, right? From transcripts, you can also look at, where's the disconnect potentially, right? Because if you get a no, you want to also be able to understand that. And I'll speak to that a little bit more on the slide 4 in terms of listening. Right. But I think that is a great idea to be able to pull from transcripts so that you can create content.
And so we use Google Meet all the time. That's a Google Workspace tool. All I have to do is transcribe my sales call. Or now with, all those, Otter AI and other third-party AI applications that are on your call, you could just record those sessions and literally upload them to Gemini and then have Gemini create content. I love that idea. I'm definitely going to try it out. I'm not a CPG company, but I think as a CPG company, that is a slam dunk. It's easy to do. It's intuitive. And you're literally listening to what the customer's saying and using their own words and phrases to sell the product.
Very relevant. Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. And to that point, right, in terms of the content draft, right? So take a reel, for example. You have this reel, you give AI, or you give it one caption and then the video script, right? And then you can ask for 8 to 10 different opening lines, right? So this is more than just A/B testing at this point. You can literally have infinite amount of opportunity here to test what is keeping people watching your reel, right? Or keeping people watching some of your content or reading through your content, right? Again, and we just also go back to people want to they want to see themselves in your product. They need to be like almost transported into the solution for their problem and really visualize and feel like, oh my gosh, this is exactly what I need. This is exactly what I feel, right? So, and that's also just, you can repurpose that as many times as possible, using trending audios, using, a very descriptive and well-written caption, right? So, I know there are many different directions, but
let me pull on this thread a little bit as well, because I think you're hitting on the head on something that's most folks aren't leveraging the full power and capability of the Gemini tools available to them. So, in essence, let's say I have an existing script, or I have an existing reel or video, or I go to a YouTube channel and I see a great video, great script that tells me exactly what makes for an exciting, engaging piece of video content. What I can do is I could take that video and then upload it to Google Gemini and have it say, hey, here's my product. I want you to use these rules or these bullet point outlines that this thought leader within the CPG space uses when they create content, and then use those rules to create reels and create scripts for my product. And then Gemini can synthesize that into a script for you using that video or using a reel from another influencer that you like.
Yeah.
That is amazing. I never thought about it that way.
No reinventing. So, you literally, if you've inspired by something else and it's applicable and you believe it's applicable for your business, absolutely you can use
That makes a ton of sense. So you're saying anything that's out in the world, I could pull from and then use a book, a PDF, a report. There's like the top 10 clickable calls to action, or the top 10 hooks, and then just upload it to my Google Gemini as I'm writing the script, and then have it say, hey, based on this script, on these like PDF files on best hooks for 2026 for CPG, write me a script.
Absolutely. I mean,
oh, wow. Okay, I'm doing it right now.
I think the treasure chest, also another one that I forgot to put on here, I mean, there's so many ways to go about it, is our blogs. Blogs are gold. There's so much content, especially if there's companies here that have blogs. There's so much content within your blogs that you can pull from one paragraph. You can make content, right? You think about a 2 to 3 minute blog read, right? There's so much good stuff in there that you can literally pull into visual content for your customers.
This is so cool. I'm excited. I'm excited to demo this right now. Okay.
Let's do it. Okay. Ready to move on?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the third idea that I want to share with you guys is about catching your customers in the funnel, right? Match your content to where your shopper is, and then move fast on some of the trends. I mean, as fast as you can. I know like trends end in like 2 hours now, but so in terms of the buyer stage content, I think this is also something that people need to think about is, and asking AI and different tools to draft content for each stage separately. I think that as we think about our marketing, we need to think about these four pillars essentially as well, right? You have the customer that comes to you literally in discovery, never seen you before, right? You need to be able to have content that is educative, right? Talks about the why or who you are, right? What you provide. And then you have the customer that is comparing options. They're literally coming to you to see how you compare it to someone else, right? They're reviewing your reviews. I mean, everyone does this on Amazon, right? And different platforms. And then you have another customer who maybe has seen you a lot, or maybe is word of mouth, right? Or, I mean, I know I get ads so much. I'm usually the third tier for me. I'm usually like ready to chat. I mean, like
I did the research already. I want it yesterday. Just give it to me.
That's usually me. And then and I'm usually also the like add to cart. I don't know if anyone else can relate to that, but I'm usually the add to cart girl. So, but I am when I want to follow a company that I'm like, oh, I love what they do. I see myself in their content. I'm just waiting for an offer or an urgency, right? So there's that content where it's just like, it's time sensitive. There's a special offer, a bundle. I mean, we're going into the holidays. I'm already like saving up, ready for the, to hit up the companies that I have been waiting to purchase from. So, that's another tier. And then lastly is, right, the customer that's already bought from you, right? How are we going to nurture those people? You think about the how-tos, you think about you want them to be obviously repeat customers. And so, thinking about how are you going to engage that customer coming back, right? Obviously, by providing an amazing product, but in addition to that, right, like I said, providing content around how to use your product, I think is super essential.
So there's 3 stages in the customer journey. Well, there's multiple stages depending on which blog or which book you read. But I think I remember reading it's like the awareness, discovery, and decision making. So education, awareness, you become aware that you need this product. I need this Lululemon or this Nike, whatever it is, this shirt. And you didn't know you needed it, but you could become aware. You're saying use content across that channel that's distinct and unique for awareness. And then it's discovery. Now I have questions. What makes me want to buy this versus that? Is there a discount? What are the specs? And so you create content on social about educating the customer as you're going through that decision-making funnel. And that has to be different from awareness. And then the third one is decision, which is the one you're at. You're like, hey, I already know what I want. I already did the awareness. I already did the discovery. I'm ready to buy. And so that's a different thing because you have stronger calls to action, maybe videos or maybe testimonials of people loving your product. So now you're not just throwing pasta on the wall, you're trying to identify which content fits for which customer depending on where they're at in their journey.
Right. And that's just becomes part of your content calendar, right? It's not necessarily like you are, just targeting that particular person at any particular time. It's just becomes part of like, your feed, your grid, right? I think about, I'll give you a quick example. I follow, a lifestyle account. And I mean, she speaks to me in so many ways. And I'm like, I want to be your friend. And I'm like, I want whatever you're selling.
You touched my soul.
Yeah, I swear. And she's just so, from everything from faith to even what she's wearing when she's working out, even she's talking about like how you can stay on track with your meals. She's she's married, has kids. Like she kind of like, she hits so many different things for so many women that, her every post she makes has a great call to action. And it just, just is so relatable in so many ways. So anyway, I'll speak, shared that really quickly, a personal example, but yeah, I wasn't sure if you had a question before I dive into it.
Yeah, Melody, I think you touched on something really important for most of our founders here, and I think that's something very near and dear. I literally just had a conversation yesterday with another founder. She's a Oaxacan tamale maker. I don't know if she doesn't consider, she doesn't have a restaurant, but she makes tamales, and it's artisan tamales from Oaxaca. And she has her brand for tamales, but she has her brand as herself, as her, like, I am an entrepreneur. I am from Oaxaca. I am making these tamales. See me like go to the store, see me deal with my family, see me like argue with my kids as I tell them to get out the kitchen while I'm making my tamales. And she literally asked me, Rob, I'm having a big challenge because I'm getting revenue from the content I'm creating as an entrepreneur, as a business owner of my product, but I'm also getting money from selling the product, and it's dividing my attention. What do you say to founders and entrepreneurs who are going through these? And yes, you guys are definitely going to get the slides after this session. So
yeah.
I definitely want to address that.
Repeat that one more time.
So what do you say to founders that might have married their CPG company with themselves and are the brand, live the brand?
Yeah, I think that's great. Personally, I think that's great. That gives more credibility for the company and for the founder. I think that word of mouth and credibility and trust, that's literally how you're going to sell, right? People buy from people they trust. So if you're marrying the two, I think, in my personal opinion, I think that's great, because then you're also building an additional follower base of people that will literally just follow you with whatever you do because they believe in your values, they believe in who you are, they believe you're a good person, right? And I think like that's that. And also, like I said earlier, they see themselves in you, right? So I think that the more content is relatable and is will drive a lot more sales.
So you're telling me I don't necessarily have to be Riri or Jenner's. I could do it myself. I don't even have like become a singer. Okay, got it. Okay, good. Good to know.
Especially as we move into like more holistic stuff. Like people want to see what real people are using. So I
gotcha.
Yeah. So
I love it. So walk me through the trends.
Okay, let's do it. So I know we've all heard like trendy sounds, formatting, or memes. I think like you don't have to jump on everything. I want to preface this. You don't have to jump on every trend. You do not need to jump on every trend, but the ones that speak to you and maybe relate to you or maybe are fun for you, right? Because that's another thing. We need to make sure we're still having fun, right? Because if we're not having fun, then we're taking the joy out of having our business, right? So taking anything that's trending at the moment, and adapting that within a few days, right? Not a week, but at least a few days. I put here this example, kind of cheek. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but it has been everywhere, at least on my algorithm. It just speaks to, like, we actually posted our kind of cheek trend on our social media. And this one, it speaks to the sentiment around, like, it's kind of cool to get your daily steps in, right? Or it's kind of cool to, or kind of cheek to, create, have a human review your content before posting, right? So things like that, are relatable for your audience, right? You pertain it obviously to your industry. But I think like those things are super important to make sure you are trending, you are keeping up with things, right? And so this is a quick example. I think audio trends sometimes can be harder because you have, it's a video, and to create video, it can, I know a lot of people don't like to necessarily be on camera, but you can use trending audio with just a B-roll for 7 seconds, 8 seconds, right? You just take, if your product is yoga mats, go outside and record 7 seconds of nature, put a trending audio over it, and then mention a couple of the keywords we talked about in the first slide, right? So why to purchase our product? Boom, 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 because of
I love that.
So, like, it's things like that you can take the trending, you can, take the video, and you can apply the keywords from your customers and what they're saying, and then post that out, and then obviously use it across the channels that make sense.
Yeah, so you're humanizing your brand with your own voice and your customer's voice. You're taking their voice and you're saying, hey, this is a trend, but I need to make it my own. So
Right.
How do I go about doing that? Let me pull from the transcripts, from the testimonials that I know my customers are saying, and bake it into this trend so I could make it my own. I love that.
Yep.
I've seen people also invert it, which I also like a lot. It's like, yeah, this is chic, but now they're going to invert it to their own style where they flip it on its head. I love this. So some questions on the comments. Susanna, you mentioned, like, do we separate the brands? Yes, you can definitely separate the brands when it comes to your CPG company and yourself. The other question is, yes, we have multiple coaches. I know some of you were asking, where are the other coaches? I'm just the West. So there's the East, South, North. So we have multiple coaches for y'all. Don't worry. We're going to definitely get you guys plugged in. We love Goody Nation. Goody Nation has their coach for the South, and they're doing some activations if you guys are in the South in person. So some pretty cool activations. For those of us who are on the West Coast, we do have some activations as well in person. So you definitely want to keep track. We'll drop our content a little bit later, but thank you for this, Melody. What else do you have for us?
Let's go. Yes, let's go to slide 4. Hold on 1 second. There we go. All right, and this one I think is one of my favorites because I believe that we always come out with an idea for a business, and then we can be shocked sometimes when it's like, oh wait, but that's not what people are saying they want. So evolving with your customer is super important, right? So I think we can use AI to behave like our customers, and also evolve with them, right? So I think back, like, when we did, remember when we did design thinking almost 10 years ago, right? Where you're iterating constantly because, right, you're getting feedback from the customer. So you can adapt, you can change, and you can modify things as needed. But right, we go back to reviews here, right? Analyzing comments and conversations to identify themes and questions that people are bringing up, right? Are people excited? Are they confused? Are they price sensitive? Are they frustrated, right? Here on this comment, right, she mentions that leaves her hair feeling soft, smelling heavenly, which I think that's a cool word to use. As a heat protectant, diffuses your hair, right? Those are all words that we can use in our content, but then, right, we can also draft. I think what's really cool here is taking the comments that we see, we can also draft responses for each group, right? Instead of like just canned reply for all, right? Like, thank you. We don't really want to go and just reply thank you to everybody. We want to make sure that we're also using AI to respond thoughtfully, right, with sentiment, right? right? Or for example, I put a little prompt here in the bullets, right? That people keep asking whether this works on curly hair, right? So going back to potentially asking some customers to create videos explaining or answering that could also be a content piece, right? So you're taking you're listening, you're taking and identifying any themes or questions, and you're responding to them, you're engaging with them, because I think a really important thing to think about too is when we engage with our customers. I'm getting some background noise. Hold on.
Yeah, let me sorry about that.
No worries. We're getting some what was I saying? The more we engage with our customers, the more likely that, right, we're listening to what they're saying, and then we'll be able to just adapt and change things as needed.
So Melody, let me touch on this because I think you're bringing up some interesting points here. This is social listening, but sentiment analysis, right? Understanding the sentiments of your audiences, reviewing what people say on X or on Twitter, seeing what they're commenting on, and then doing a sentiment analysis if it's positive, neutral, or negative.
Right.
I mean, that's something that Google does all the time when it goes to Google search and qualifying your ranking and authority. But as we're thinking through this as a CPG company, I think you're saying move a little bit beyond that, get ahead of curves, get ahead of trends, use those sentiments to identify prospective future trends. So that's number one, which I think is fantastic.
Yeah.
But number two, which I think is really important, I think folks who are really invested into our communities and into communities understand you can't treat everyone as a monolith. You have to treat people as individuals. And we have different challenges that the general market, the general pop. And so we have to address those things with them in mind. We're not all the same. And so we can't have canned responses. We have to have individual responses to individual members of our customer base, of our community. Right. And I think that really speaks to being authentic and owning your brand and owning your lane and saying, hey, I'm you. And I'm you because I'm not just going to give you a bullet-plated AI-generated content or response to your question or response to your view. I'm actually going to think about you as an individual and the challenges you're going through and responding based on my product and how you can even find that as a niche. Like my product is a niche towards you as a specific user. And I love that. I think that's very powerful. And then using Gemini or other AI tools like Gemini to mock up perspective, complaints, challenges that you might have.
Yes, I think it's just as important as it is to respond to people that are happy, right? Responding to people also that are potentially upset or didn't have a great experience is literally you could take a customer that's upset and make them into a loyal customer just by how you respond. So, right. And I think like that's super imperative too for driving sales or for thinking about, retaining, right? We also want to think about retention. So how we respond to and make it right. That's another thing, right? Not only just responding, but making it right? Whether they just want to be heard or they want a different product or their money back, right? Making sure that we make it right. I think that's super important.
Yeah, it's like a feedback loop. You could start creating future product because you're identifying the need before the customer identifies the need themselves. They're giving you feedback, and you have to make sense of that feedback through. Now you don't have to pay for market research. You can use your Gemini to start predicting future product development for the future customer base based on their specific pain points.
Exactly. You have your focus
Love it.
right there at your fingertips. So another point I wanted to mention was, in the spirit of iteration and thinking about your product is, the comments and reviews help you to also spot unmet demand. Right. So if you take your reviews and comments and you put that into AI, right? You can really figure out where's there a gap in my product that I'm not seeing, right? Based on these comments, right? People I've done it many times where I'm just like, hey, love your product, but I'm looking for this in a travel size or a travel bundle, right? I have everyone should know I should have really curly hair. So it's not straight all the time. And so I need my products with me, but I can't carry the 9-ounce, 10-ounce bottles, right? So I'm like, I would leave comments and say, hey, love the product, need it in something smaller, right? Right. So, I mean, or that's just an example, but just looking at the items, right? People could also ask for specific, right? Let's say candles or a different size, right? Just seeing where there is unmet demand, I think opens up also the opportunity to additional sales that maybe you weren't thinking about, or additional products that you probably weren't thinking about.
That's definitely no, I agree. That's a pro tip. I love that pro tip, especially now that the holidays are upon us. The next 2 months from now will be October, November, December.
Yes.
So, and production does lag. If you're seeing your customer base say, hey, I need travel pack, let's get ahead of that, right? If that happens to be,
Exactly. So
okay.
let me move into, I'm not sure, let me see, next slide. Okay, awesome. So some golden rules for getting results, right? I just want to share a couple of quick tips, especially as we use AI now for a lot of things in our business. Rule 1: feed it real context. So instead of just saying, create 8 captions for my candle company, give it very specific context, and give it guardrails too, right? Give me 5, or don't extend your response beyond the 5th post caption, right? Giving it guardrails, giving it context is going to help to really give you content that is helpful and meaningful. Number 2, treat AI like a teammate, right? Give it, if you want, give it a persona, give it constraints, give it specific goals. Don't just, search for keywords. You want to, it's a partner for us to really think through how we want to grow our business. And then rule 3, you're the editor, right? AI helps with generating drafts, but you essentially are the brand. You're the voice, right? You're the final eye on things. I think this goes back to what you're mentioning in terms of pairing your company with the product, right? Or sorry, pairing your product with yourself, right? I think like that is super essential, is making sure that your voice is heard. Like you are still the founder behind the product.
I love it. Bring us home.
Let's do it. So thank you guys for hopping on. If you want to reach out, or if you have any questions, this is my email, website, and these are the handles to our social platforms. Feel free to follow along. And yeah, it's been great chatting with you, Robert.
Melody, I want you to stay on, because I want you to do the same thing I did to you to do to me when it comes to the questions that you have.
Okay.
I want to present a little bit, because I think you did a lot. We don't have enough time to go through all the various examples. I will try to bring this home when it comes to how we can use some and pull on some threads you left for us with Gemini and Gemini Notebook. And so Clinton has a question. What about competitors? Can you ask Gemini to scan benefits? I love that.
Yeah.
Clinton.
Absolutely.
Plus 10. Yeah. The upvote, have my like, I'm crushing that like button. I'm subscribing. That's exactly right. So one easy way we can do that is Google Business Profile. You can literally review businesses through a 5-mile radius, 10-mile radius, because all business is local. You could look at their Google Business Profile. You could see their offerings or their services, and you can see what gaps they have. So I always use the framework of like SWOT analysis. I know it's old and antiquated, but it still works. Identifying, the weaknesses, like, hey, they don't offer these things, or they're not open these hours, and they're not serving these type of clients. Mm-hmm. You can also just have it do an assessment of your competitors. Hey, within the 10-mile radius of where I live in my market, who's my direct and indirect competitor? And you could ask those questions. So as we're going through the presentation. I'm going to go through this very rapidly because we don't have that much time. Here's my contact information. Feel free to drop a message if you want more information. I do workshops every freaking month, maybe 5 to 7 workshops in person and online. I won't talk too much about myself because you didn't come to listen to me. But as you're thinking about repetitive tasks when it comes to your marketing, social media, how do you outsource that? How do you give that to your Gemini tool to get it started? So what we're going to talk about is your pain point first, Gemini Notebook CPG, and then I'll try to demo 2 examples, and then we'll wrap it up. So just business flow, just think about your day-to-day in the context of social media. So think about what is something that I keep doing every single day that I want to hand off to someone or something. And so a workflow is defined as this. But in the context of social media, it might be create a social media content calendar. It might be create social media imaging or videos. And so within that framework, we want to think about the trigger, what starts the event, the action. Once I see that event, what makes me want to take an action? And then the outcome, what do you want? Videos, images, all that great stuff. Rocio, I'd love to go there. I'll definitely reach out to you. Definitely could do it in Spanish. We'll bring Melody. We'll fly her out.
That's Carol.
Yes, let's go. That's exactly right. So just a quick and dirty, Melody kept talking about prompts. Here's our blueprint for Google. Task, what is the action you want the Gemini tool to do? Social media posts, create content, imaging, and video. Persona, what's the title that you want it to be? What's the persona? It could be a social media marketing manager, content creator, designer, videographer, script writer. You're giving it exactly the persona. Output, how do you want that output? If I want a marketing strategy, a social media strategy, I want it in executive format. If I want a image, give it to me in JPEG. If I want a video, give it to me in the video format. And then Melody was talking about context. This is where you bring in the transcriptions that you recorded. This is where you bring in your videos and you upload it to Gemini. And then references, maybe you have your competitor and you say, hey, I really like this campaign. I really like this post. I want to replicate it, but with my own voice or with my own testimonials, right? So you're marrying what Melody just told us into this format. Any thoughts there, Melody?
This is great. No, this is awesome. Yeah. The fact that I actually had some of these words, I didn't even know you had this in your slides. Like, this is great.
Okay, I love it. So we'll touch on Gemini right now. And the power of Gemini is multimodal means I always think about it, this Melody, as, imagine someone that can do 5 things very, very well. So, you have that friend that's like a coder. He speaks 5 languages, a super athlete. She also loves traveling, dance, like super dancer, right? Like all of it, all these things. She just checks every single box there is, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's like you, girl. Like that's what you do. You check every box. Right? You're kicking butt, taking names. I love it. And so Gemini has this ability to do text, video, audio, code, and imaging. So just think about that in the context of your social media. You have 0 excuses when it comes to these type of tools. And so we talked about the multimodalness, but here's the framework that we're going to give you to walk away with, right? Melody talked about sentiment analysis. Like that's literally the conversation 90%. Like what are my customers saying? What are my competitors saying? What do they love? What don't they love? Why are they buying from us? Why are they not buying from us? You can use Gemini to do this. You literally say, hey, do a sentiment analysis about my reviews. Here's my website or here's my Google business profile. And you just upload it. Creating content. You take that content, the sentiment analysis, and you're like, now create posts for me on social, on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok. And then the strategic customer journey. Understanding, she talked about this, awareness, discovery, and decision-making. Which content lives where? And you could literally tell that to Gemini, hey, we got these boxes, we could identify where the content lives. And so like, it's almost like we practice this, Melody. It's almost like we had meetings about this.
I know. I was like, this is very in line.
Okay. I love it. So let me just show you very quickly what we're talking about here so that we can kind of give you guys an idea, right? So I'm going to share my screen. And so this is your Gemini. This is home base. This is where you add PDFs, references. You can connect it to your Google Drive. You can create images, you can create videos. But for this particular piece, Melody talked about hooks, right? She's like, hey, identify the best hooks. So I literally, while she was telling me this, I'm like, hey, let me pull that. Let me actually pull that. Let me find a website that has the ultimate best hooks, 40 proven hooks for CPG companies. Okay, so then what do? I go to Gemini. So I pulled it from this specific page. I found it online. I just did a quick Google search. I'm going back to my Google and I'm saying, okay, draft a series of reels for me using these hooks I found online for my make-believe CPG. What kind of company do we want to have, Melody? Shirts, clothing?
Athleisure.
Athleisure.
Let's stay on that. Yeah, I'm all about it.
I don't know if that's how you spell it. There we go. Athleisure. All right, let's see what happens. And so there it is. I just dropped the link of that website. I gave it the prompt. It's going to scan that article. It's going to give it the prompt that I gave it, which is CPG Athleisure Company. And it's going to create various reels and scripts for me. Very, very easy to do. Takes a few seconds. As that's cooking, I also want to talk about your market. There it is. Here we go.
It's awesome.
It created super quick, super easy.
So good.
And zero, I didn't even give it any context about who I am, what I am. The more context, the better.
Right.
And we're literally doing what you just talked about.
This is great.
Okay, so we can create an image. We could like, hey, create a visual representation of this video. And let's see what it does. And as it gave me the script, now we can do a video representation of it using Gemini as well. As that's cooking, I want to go and show you guys Gemini Notebook. So Melody was talking about amazing things. She was talking about market research, understanding your customer, creating personas. With this specific tool, you can ask it to do market research for you. Completely easy. So we're going to go to create a notebook, and here is where the magic happens. You can click on deep search and then ask it whatever question you want when it comes to your product, your industry, and your geography. And it will pull information, sources, quote unquote, from the internet, and then it'll line them up on the left-hand side here, and it'll tell you, do you approve of these sources that I found regarding your question? And so if you say yes, I'll create a report for you. Now you basically have a market research report about your product, your service, your industry, your geography, for you to have an understanding of trends. You could even do that for your competitor, do a competitor analysis.
Yes.
Is that amazing?
It's so cool.
Love it.
When I used Notebook, I was blown away at what you can do. It was amazing.
All right. I think, Melody, it has you in mind because this is what it created for us.
I love it.
All right. This is zero prompting, zero context. We didn't do context or referencing, but the more context and referencing we provide, the better able it's going to be to give me a response here. And so I did a quick and dirty prompt because I don't want to think. I'm lazy now. So I'm just going to drop this prompt into Notebook LM if I wanted to. And they'll definitely do that. And I could go back to Notebook and I could drop it here in the prompt, and they'll start searching different resources on the left-hand side for that prompt that I gave it to do market research on my behalf. Okay, we're at time, guys. Unfortunately.
Wow. Good stuff.
Yeah, we're at time. Love to come to New Mexico, Rocio. Definitely reach out to you. But Melody, I appreciate you joining us today. I appreciate you making time to share your insights. We kind of talked about Notebook LM. I just want to tell you guys, act responsibly. Google has a ton of certifications if you're going to get certified. And if you do get certified, you get 3 months of free Google Workspace as well as Google Gemini Pro at no cost. So you could definitely get upskilled. But with that, love to thank you all for joining us and being part of this amazing community. Thank you guys. I even broke a sweat.
Oh my goodness, this was so good. I am grateful to the both of you for coming, sharing your knowledge and expertise. If they didn't leave with a page filled with notes, then I don't know. But the good thing is, hey, you can go back and rewatch. And this is definitely one of those videos that you guys are want to come back and rewatch. So Melody and Rob both dropped their information for you guys to get in contact with them. If you want to learn more about Goody Nation, visit our website at goodynation.org. Rob, did you have anything else for them?
We appreciate you. If you want, reach out to me directly. We have a ton of workshops. Go to our Grow with Google page, Grow with Google, to see what coach is in your region. But we want to work with y'all. We appreciate everything and for showing up.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
I was just about to say, Melody, you have any closing remarks?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, if anyone wants to reach out, please do. I had left my email. I'm sure we'll drop that in the chat. But it was great to be here. I had such a good time. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for joining us today. And again, this session is going to be replayed on all of the platforms. So easy for you guys to find. But any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to either of us. Guys, have a wonderful rest of the day. Bye.